The mission today is to sharpen your swords and get you ready for battle. It's time to fine-tune your craft and make you the best in what you do. The mission is to equip you to help anyone purchase what they need. We'll share the best advice from the best in their industry. You'll be listening to a conversation you wish you had with the mentors you wish you had. Take what makes sense to you and makes you better in your career. You guys, Bruce Lee said it best. Absorb what is useful and discard what is not.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Commission Mission. My name is Micah Henderson.
And I'm Eric Gerace.
And today we have a friend of mine from Jacksonville, Florida. He is a 14-year veteran advisor. He's amazing with what he does, and he's helped me a lot through the years working with him, and I know he's helped out a lot of other up-and-coming professionals. David, say hello.
Good morning.
I know through the years and us having conversations together that we kind of vibe to each other because we come from a similar background as far as working in the restaurant industry background and making the decision to coming to a financial services industry. Do you remember 14 years ago how that felt and the decision-making process that you made?
Yeah, I always wanted to get into the business of helping people, and the restaurant industry just was a means to an end. It helped pay the bills and got to meet a lot of different people. But I would say that my drive to help people got me interested in the financial services career. And my uncle taught me a lot about investments growing up. So that's where that little itch started. I was about 16. He taught me about the market. And then my mother, she had a stroke at 55 when I was early on in just out of college, and that taught me a lot about insurance. And so financial planning, including both of those, drove me to this industry to help people prepare for those.
That's awesome. That's a really good why, and I know you wouldn't still be in the industry if you still didn't have just as strong of a why now as when you started.
Yep.
Another commonality that we have between the two of us is we both have 4 children, one that's pretty new. And having conversations with you, you have a pretty good way of balancing the work life, home life, and being able to knock both of them out of the park at the same time. How have you been able to do that?
I would say communication is key with the missus on that, and being able to balance and juggle. Sometimes there's evening appointments that is the only time that you can meet with with a potential client or a client, and just having clear communication and having a set schedule. Having the schedule set up to where you know exactly when you can meet with people and when you can't because you have obligations for your family. Just set those barriers and make the appointments work when they work for you and the client or potential client.
Absolutely, yeah. There's some juggling.
It was expressed to me. It's an ideal calendar is the way that it was taught to me. You have this ideal calendar and pick and choose when you can see people and you can't. So,
absolutely. I have not been able to strike that balance as much as you. So it's something I'm always striving for, balancing the school homework and the making dinner and the going to the soccer game. And, there is, especially when there's a lot of juggling going on, and I got to set my schedule week for week to make sure I accomplish that. I can't ever plan anything too far ahead weeks out because something ends up popping up.
Yeah, then you throw in a pandemic too, so it's just there's always something.
Well, and that's something that has not necessarily hurt a lot of people. That being able to schedule on Zoom, for example, and handle things over the phone and email has actually helped a lot of people become more efficient cut out drive time, cut out waiting on a client that might be late. So in your experience, technology is helpful, or are you more old-fashioned, you like working with people face-to-face?
Yeah, I prefer to meet with people face to face, but of course, there's not always that opportunity. And with the world of COVID back in February, March of 2020, had a lot more virtual meetings than before. And like you said, it does cut out the drive time, and you have to kind of learn how to keep it personable while not necessarily meeting in person. And that was just some little nuggets that I learned along the way is, and how you set up the meeting and how your follow through is with the meeting and making sure that you're giving a little bit more extra touches outside of that face to face that makes them feel a little bit more personable.
Yeah. Well, building trust and building rapport is so crucial in a face-to-face sales world that you have to have, I guess, some other way to compensate to say, hey, I'm not a 1-800 number in the Midwest. I am, your friend trying to help you make a purchase, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I always tell people, because I work with a lot of people in the Panhandle, that I'm still old-fashioned. I love to work face-to-face, but at the same time, all the tools are available that so people sometimes feel a little less comfortable with the face-to-face meeting these days, and that's perfectly fine. There's systems in place to make up for that.
Yeah.
Talking about building trust and building rapport and being so important, because you want to be their guy, and repeat customers so much easier to maintain than always prospecting for new. When it comes to someone that you work with virtually, have you seen referrals? So, when someone says to their mother, father, best friend, the subject comes up of what you do, hey, I got a guy. With less, in-person rapport building, have you seen less referrals coming from clients that you only work with virtually?
Less clients that I only work with virtually. So I get referrals without any kind of prompting from time to time. But you and I both know in this business, it's a contact sport. And in essence, someone mentioned to me yesterday, have given your name to about 10 different people. I said, great. I haven't heard from any of them, but that's not unexpected. Most people in my world, part of our role as a financial advisor, I believe, is to help people not procrastinate. Right. And so picking up the phone and calling them and introducing yourself, that very first step of helping them not procrastinate, because the chances they're going to pick up the phone and call you are there if they really have a need today. But if there's not necessarily an urgent need, then they're probably going to take the number and keep it and may or may not give you a call in the future. So having that proactive phone call, once I mentioned that to her, she knew that she procrastinates quite a bit as well. So she said, okay, I'm going to give you their name and number. You can reach out. I would say prospecting probably is not my strong suit. I would say I'm about average or a little bit below. So I always have to remember to see if there's people I can meet with. But basically your drive to meet new people and help impact their lives has to be stronger than your uncomfortableness to ask for introductions, in short. So,
and that goes back to that why being strong. And and Eric, that's something that we've talked about before. Your why being knowing really why you're doing something to push you to overcome certain obstacles.
Yeah, I've worked with people in the past where, you ask them why they want to achieve a specific goal, and it's either, oh, that'd be cool, or I've always wanted that, or it's something that and to me, that's like a level 1 or a level 2 why. And then when a level 8 or level 10 obstacle shows up, And what happens when you only have a level 2 why?
Can't overcome it.
That's when people drop out of the business. They decide to go on and move on to something else, or maybe they just make a decision about themselves that they're not going to be successful at this, and they struggle and struggle and struggle consistently. So for me, setting that why, getting that level 10 why to where any obstacles that approach you become just an obstacle or challenge. It's all about perspective and mindset too, as well. When you set that why, excuse me, about creating that mindset of I can do it, that it is possible, all things are possible, and working towards it.
And that's something I remember learning from you, David, is overcoming the head trash. Right?
Correct.
Your own perception isn't always what reality is. And having that strong why can help you push through some of that. And, so head trash is just what you're talking about. When you start questioning yourself and, what if scenarios start running through your head, and a lot of it isn't real. It's just your perception that's stopping you. But with that strong why, make sure it's a 10 to overcome any potential obstacle. And when I get to a point, most of the time it's just something I don't want to do. I know I'm capable of doing it, but I would rather do anything else. A lot of times it's phone calls. Working at home, I might, rather go to a refrigerator, catch lunch with a friend. But no, these are things that I got to do. And if your why is strong enough, you're going to push through it. And it'll also help you overcome any anxiety. Is having that right mindset to. The only time that I ever feel anything similar to anxiety is my inaction. Is when I'm not doing anything. It seems so overwhelming. But as soon as I start making those steps and picking up that phone call, that's when things start lessening, and I know that I'm doing all that I can to accomplish the goal that I set out to do.
One of the things that we talked about a little bit earlier was how you spend your time and that family work-life balance. And I think that's really important, because one of the things that I noticed a big turn in my business and in my performance in my business is I used to feel like a slave to my calendar, to where it was just constantly booking, and there was never any time for me or my family or what I wanted to do. And it goes along with this why and this mindset. My why was my family. I wanted to be a good provider and supporter for my family. And I decided that my calendar was going to be a tool I used to make that happen. And what I started doing was I realized when I was at my highest and best and in the great mood, it was like I had like the Midas touch. Appointments were easy. Clients were saying yes, yes, yes. Everything was just clicking like clockwork. And so I made that a priority in my life, to where I need to be at that level all the time. And so cold calling didn't become as important as it was as my mindset and where I was mentally before I made those cold calls. Yeah. Or if I went on a client appointment, that I had to be in a really good mood before I went on that. And so there was some things I grabbed onto. What do I really love? What lights me up no matter what? And one of them is racing go-karts. I love to go down to the go-kart racetracks that we have in our city. Another thing is going to the shooting range. And it's something like it's quick, it's easy. I know I'm going to have a big smile on my face when I'm done with it. And so I realized that there's moments that I've made the decision to do that activity before I step into something in my business. And I was just curious, is there anything, because you heard the head trash talk. Yeah. Do you block time for your family or for fun activities? How do you handle that?
Yeah, so for me and my wife, it's funny because my wife did it without any kind of mentorship or anything. But when I first started in the business, a wise lady told me, if it's not on your calendar, it's not going to happen. And so making sure that whatever it is that's important to you, you put it on your calendar. So if my child has a soccer game or practice or whatever the case might be, it's on the calendar, and then everyone on the team knows it. And you're kind of held accountable that you're going to go do that. And they know not to put something else. Then you're not having to choose between one thing or the other. I'm sure in y'all's practice early on, I would get this from time to time. where I had a personal event, and then somehow an appointment got put on the calendar with a great client and a great opportunity. And then I had to choose, right? So if your personal items are not on the calendar, then of course you may end up scheduling that appointment you've been trying to get for a month or two at that same time, and then you're stuck choosing. So with that said, that was the biggest aha moment for me, is making sure that and I color code my appointments, so that way myself and my team know what the appointments are and what they're for, and if there's drive time and things of that nature. So that's been real helpful in that work and life balance.
Highland Finance, helping you prepare for life. IRS takes your money, stock market risks your money, and inflation reduces the buying power. At Highland Finance, we believe you should feel confident in your future. Our proven track record helps our clients prepare for life. Call 850-359-5989.
Yeah, that's something I still have to really let sink in and implement in my life, is setting that great appointment with that ideal avatar, ideal client, and not having the time and not wanting to schedule out 3 weeks, because that's not really striking the hammer when the iron's hot. They're wanting to meet now, and the only time to compensate is family time. That it's not. A lot of times the only other variable is sleep, and I cut as much as that out as possible, and so the only thing left is family time. But if they really want to meet, then they will look further out. So, David, a second ago you mentioned prospecting not being your strong suit, but two things that I know really changes the ratio for you is how you gather information on the first meeting, and your follow-up game is so casual and confident that I know makes up for the maybe not the inflow of new names being as much, but when they do sit across from you, that you're able to help them. Let's talk about the importance of gathering good information. You want, because otherwise trash in, trash out.
Yeah, I think the initial first step is really finding out the level of importance of what you're doing, what you're trying to help that person accomplish, how important is it to them. And once you get the sense that this is something they want to move forward with in the process of financial planning, then really it's just gathering that information and asking some nuggets along the way. Most people, regardless of whether it's intentional or not, they introduce you to people throughout those conversations. As long as you're having that casual conversation, you're not just asking for facts. You're asking about how they came to that point in their life. Who, if you were to start a business with 3 people, who would those 3 people be, and why? Who would you trust your kids with if you weren't here tomorrow? Those are all different things that you can incorporate in that fact gathering process to get to know people they're connected with, and how they influence their decision making and things of that nature as well. So that's one way of getting the introductions. And then I would say the other is, I just taught a class of new reps recently, is, at the end of the day, if you did not get any favorable introductions and you really need some, LinkedIn is a great tool to use, and that's a professional networking site, and find some people you're connected with that well enough to reach out and see if there's a few introductions you can get on second connections.
Yeah.
So that's kind of an easy cherry picking way.
Yeah, to be able to feed them the names to get their approval, to contact in a very non-threatening, casual way. So yeah, I mean, subjects like gathering information on the first meeting, getting more names from the people who you've shown value to, following up. I think these are universal subjects that appeal to anybody living off a commission, living off of helping somebody purchase something. When it comes to following up, because not everybody is ready to sign on the line that is dotted, right away. And when they're not, and they need time to think, or they're just not in the right place in their life at that point. How do you casually bring up, contacting them down the road, besides waiting for them to contact you?
Yeah, so I think that a typical answer, if you're approaching someone for this business and your services, is either no, they just don't want to do business, or now's not the best time, or hey, this is great timing, I actually need to do this, and that's doesn't happen all the time. It's typically the middle, and that's where the timing's just not right. So you can still take time to get to know that person and find out what their goals are, and how you can help, if at all, currently. But there's many times where you can't really help until certain things are done. That might be 6 months down the road, or a year down the road, or they're just not comfortable yet. So I always ask them, when's a good time to follow up? Put the ball in their court and make sure that it's their timeline, their meeting, and then follow up whenever they tell me. But if I'm talking to someone who's a little bit younger, and I kind of need to grab the reins a little bit on that, then I'll just say, hey, most people that I speak with, if now's not the best time, following up every 3 to 6 months is a good time frame to touch base, see how things are going, and see if it's a good time to revisit this conversation. Most people will say, yep, that's great, give me a call in 6 months. Or they'll tell me, after the holidays, give me a call. Great. Is mid-January, early February a good time, right? So you're giving them options, they choose, and then you basically set in your system to check back in.
That's great. And, me personally, whenever somebody gives me the, after the holidays thing, December 26th, right? Maybe January 1st, 9 a.m., some of those. Hey, you said, no. I do not recommend that.
That was a joke.
One of the tools I use in my real estate business is a CRM, software. So I create campaigns for my sellers or buyers or investors or agents, whatever it may be, people that I want to join my team. And based on our interaction that we have initially, we can classify them into whatever category, put a hashtag on it, and that runs a follow-up campaign. Yeah. And that campaign can include text, emails. It reminds me to make phone calls on certain intervals. So, and I've found that to be extremely valuable in follow-up. I have a partner who's a PhD in marketing and research. And so, every time we talk, it's follow-up, 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 follow-up. And there's people that we've talked to for a year before they made a move, but when they did, they made a really big move.
And they made it with you.
Yes, and they made it with me because it took a year of building that relationship and that trust for them to realize that, hey, yes, we are a good fit, and I think you're the one to do this for me.
I've had to go a year out to have somebody absolutely sure, give me a call in a year. And then we're amazed when a year to the day I call them back. Yeah, it's just putting it in your calendar, and it just says, make the phone call. And of course, it's worth it to make a 5-minute phone call for somebody that is in the market, even if they're in the outskirts of the market. But absolutely, April 26th last year, it was about this time, and they're so impressed that you follow up in exactly a year.
Well, I heard a really staggering statistic in real estate was that 25% of real estate clients do not use the same agent for their second transaction.
What they do wrong?
And so as I started looking at, a lot of it had to do with follow-up. They weren't in communication with the clients. They had forgotten things. They left certain things out. They didn't meet certain deadlines. But really, it just goes to building that relationship with them on the front end. And following up, like you said, really goes a long way to doing that.
So, David, as far as kind of always sharpening the saw and making yourself better at what your craft is, and that's really what we try to accomplish here on the Commission Mission. What's some recommendations that you have that you use, either an activity or a book or a particular author that you use to always get a little bit better at what you do?
Yeah, so for me, there's a couple things. I'm surrounded by great people, whether it's mentors or directors in the office, or just other advisors that I can go to and bounce some ideas off of, or if I'm had a couple of not so great encounters, things that not horrible, but just things that didn't go well. They give me a minute or two to sulk about it, and you gotta move forward. So I think that's one key: surrounding yourself with good people that are there to listen and understand where you've been and what you're going through, but they can also give you that feedback on how to move forward, and the best decision to make with that particular issue. The other I would say is, for me, is my faith. I can always go back to scripture and read certain scriptures to get me in the right mindset, to bounce back if life throws a little bit of a curveball, or in the business if there's a curveball. So those are two things for me that work really well. So I guess fellowship and faith.
Man, I just want to kind of expand on the mentorship, because that was crucial in my business, and what I did too was having a mentor, someone that I can trust. And the beauty of it is we learn through failure. The caveat of that, it doesn't have to be your own.
Yeah.
And so you can learn through the mistakes that your mentor made without having to repeat those same mistakes. And it makes you a lot more effective. It just really speeds up that timeline, of when you are effective if you were out there on your own. So, and faith, definitely. Yep. That he is responsible for everything that we do. So I love the fact that you mentioned those two as your keys.
Can you remember, 14 years ago, a particular mentor that meant a lot to you, that you were able to, kind of follow and shadow and listen to his advice or her advice?
Yeah, so there's multiples, but one that I clung on to was a veteran that'd been here for a while. He's a veteran of the service, and he was good at listening, but he wasn't patient, so I didn't get the bellyache too long. And then he basically would keep me back. What can you do? What are the things you can focus on? What are the controllables to help get you back in sync with the things that you can do to get you to where you want to go? And so there's always going to be obstacles. There's always going to be situations that come up, but there's also steps that you can take to keep continuing and move forward. And so focusing on the process, and I think that's key. Having a right mindset's great, but then also someone can have a real positive attitude, but if they don't have a process in place that they're going to implement, they're kind of just wandering aimlessly in the business and trying to see what works. So I think those two, having a great mindset and having that process in place of daily habits that you do to continue to move forward. Yeah,
man. That's really good. Had you not had that mentor, the particular one that you have in mind right now, where do you think you'd be right now?
I don't know. I might have clung on to someone else, but yeah, luckily I'm surrounded by many great people. But that one in particular, we just gelled well. I felt like he was there to help me regardless of the case size or anything like that, even though it wasn't necessarily his ideal avatar market at the time. He was always there to help me regardless. So that I might be somewhere else doing the same thing, but somewhere else. And so being surrounded with people that were there to genuinely help was huge.
Yeah. And I know that there's a lot of people that would do great in the industry and help a lot of people out that might not make it if they don't come across that great mentor that genuinely has interest in them succeeding. And because of that, I really appreciate you coming on today and sharing with us some of these nuggets, these golden nuggets that you have, that you've shared with me over years, and you're sharing with Eric and a lot of other people right now.
Yeah, my big takeaway from today was, if it's not on your calendar, it's not getting done. I mean, that right there is gold right there. So simple.
The person who taught me that, she fired me 3 weeks and in the business meeting to mentor. And she said, "You're not doing what you're doing." She's been here over 50 years. So she's definitely wise, and there's certain things
Made you
about the business that don't change.
Exactly. There's certain fundamentals that don't change, and I really need to get back to the process sometimes. That I'll start kind of getting scattered, and I need to bring it back to the fundamentals. Yeah, great nuggets. Well, David, I really appreciate your time today. I know
Thanks for having me.
We'll speak, probably sooner than later, but thanks. I know we can edit stuff. I don't know. I don't know what to do with my hands right now.
We have the thank you, and then once David's out of the room, then
we could do like a wrap up.
Really quick
Yeah.
wrap up.
Okay. So now real life. Thanks, David. Thanks, David, for coming on. I really appreciate you taking an hour out of your day and the patience, letting us work out some audio kinks with you. And no, I mean, a lot of the stuff that you said before, that you said today, that really helped me, that I cannot repeat quite as well, I'm sure. Was it you, talking about the process and getting back on that told me before, you can run a lot farther, a lot faster on a track than like through the woods with no path, or it was something like that.
That wasn't me, but that's that'd be great if there was definitely no trees in the way.
Right, exactly. Instead of running through a wild, jungle, running through an even path, and that is the process. That is the working out all the kinks that has been worked out before. Learning from others' mistakes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Maybe that's my own.
I'm the youngest. I'm the youngest in my family, so I cling on to that one. Learn from my older brother and sister. So.
Yeah.
Well, it's amazing because I have a 9-year-old or 10-year-old and a 6-year-old.
Oh yeah.
And the 6-year-old is way more advanced than the 10-year-old because of that same thing. He studies the 10-year-old all the time. And
So he caught up quick.
yeah, well, he just learns. He just watches every move Jaden makes and then does it better.
Yeah, they say don't do that. That ends up not so well, right?
Yeah, just don't be hard-headed enough and not to listen. There's a reason why they're saying that, and it's not because there's a malicious intent to send you down the wrong path. We want to help you. Listen to the dang advice. But no, I appreciate it, David. And I know I'm going to be back in town Thanksgiving week, so I'm sure you guys are going to have some time off.
We might be in Kentucky, but my son, my oldest, Eric, he's 18. He's going to the Navy, and then my youngest is 5 months. And so then we have a 3 and a 6-year-old. Yeah, and so, but he heads off early November, so we may just go to Kentucky for Thanksgiving, and see the family up there. So.
Well, I'll catch you sooner or later. I'm always coming back and forth in town, and we'll catch up somewhere in Riverside for lunch or something.
Hey, nice to meet you, Eric.
Hey, very nice meeting you, David.
And Jason.
Thanks, David. See you, man.
See ya.
Y'all have a good one.
All right, take care.
Cheers.
All right, everybody, the commission mission. Really appreciate David for getting on with us and sharing some of his experience and knowledge with us.
Some gold nuggets.
Some gold nuggets. And
simple thing when he said that if it's not on your calendar, it's not going to happen. That goes. I love that because a lot of people focus on putting all their business appointments, all their business on the calendar, and leave the personal life off and try and squeeze it in. Mm-hmm. And it's just so important to realize that we need to put everything on that calendar.
Take it all seriously.
And then you don't have to make a choice. That was just
goes back to the work home life balance. It's all on your calendar. It's all the time that you have, and it's all important. So definitely. And I really like getting back to the process when things are going good, when things are going bad. Have the right mindset, of course, but then getting back to step number 1, step number 2, step number 3 to get you back going when especially when things are going bad. Everyone's process is different, and hopefully when people are listening in, they're getting little bits of information that makes sense to them, and they're taking it, absorbing it, adding to their process, and some of the stuff's not going to make sense to everybody. Disregard it. Move on to the next episode, the next knowledgeable professional and the next mentor and get a couple more good nuggets that make sense to you, add it to your own process. And when things are going good or going bad, get back to it.
And the fact that this all comes down to just finding that why. Why are you doing this? Why do you want to be in this business? Why are you doing it? And creating that level 10 why.
Yep.
So as these obstacles that show up in everybody's business, in any industry, as they make themselves known,
Keep
your
on going.
why
Right
allows
through
you to
it.
charge right through it.
That's right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to this episode of the Commission Mission. Tune in next time. Hey, everybody, thanks for tuning in to the Commission Mission. It is our mission to increase your commission. If you got any gold nuggets out of the episode today, make sure you don't miss any more. Click, like, subscribe, whatever that action is for the platform that you're watching this on. Make sure you don't miss any more good nuggets, and help us help you.
Yeah, one of the things that new or struggling entrepreneurs struggle with is asking for the sale, asking for what you need, and they're afraid of rejection. But I'll give you a sample of that exactly right now. Is if this helped you in any way, please share this with 3 friends of yours, 3 people that you think would benefit from what was discussed on these podcasts. And
Friends in sales, anyone in your organization that can benefit from this needs to hear it. Thanks, everybody.
Highland Finance, helping you prepare for life. The profit your business brings in should go to you, not accidents, injuries, and hurricanes. Do a policy review on your general liability and workers' comp today. Our proven track record helps our clients prepare for life. Call 850-359-5989. Highland Finance.